All right, everyone, welcome to Kol Kol Shira in partnership with Bezel.org and, of course, Yeshiva Atera Shimon. And, okay, it's Parshat Eikev, very exciting. This is the second week of the Zion Shavuos of the Nechemta. So, Baruch Hashem, last week we had Shabbos Nachamu, and hopefully we're feeling the Nechama of even Elikim, Nachamu Ami Yomer Lekeichem, even Elikim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says even the midah of judgment will have to give you Nechama. Isn't that beautiful? Unbelievable. Now we had also last week we had the Aseres Adibros, and every time that you have the Aseres Adibros, it's like a Mamid Har Sinai again, and it's again getting us ready for the Tekufa of Elul, right? A beautiful understanding is when it comes to Rosh Chodesh Av. So Av is an acronym for Elul Ba. You're already thinking about Elul. It's already coming to the end. Okay, now it's 40 days. We're now 40 days before the 25th of Elul. We're coming up to that, right? And that's a very special thing, again, because we're making the tikkunim for the 40 days that when Moshe Rabbeinu went up, we didn't do the right thing. So now we're here we can make the tikkunim in these 40 days and prepare ourselves for the Yom Hadin. The days are very, very special. We're living in a very special time. And we'll discuss some things about the Parsha and how Parshat Eikev really is so befitting to come right after Parshas Va'eschanan, especially after the Aseres Adibros. In the Parsha, we have so many different things. Last week's Parsha, we had Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. In the Parsha of V'ahavta, this week's Parsha, we have V'hayim Shemaya, right? And there's so much to speak about the Kriya Shema, of course, and many different things. So in general, the Parshat Eikev is discussing our relationship between HaKadosh Baruch Hu and the Jewish people. It's really introducing what is our relationship supposed to look like between us and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells us we have in the Parsha, we have the Parsha of Yira, and we have the Parsha of Ahavas Hashem. Right? We have both Parshas in this Parsha. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is giving us tremendous chizuk, a tremendous chizuk. The word Eikev also it can be scrambled to the word of Keva. Chazal tell us you're supposed to be kaiveya itim la Torah. Be kaiveya itim la Torah. Set up time to learn Torah, and it's supposed to be chayk v'layava, right? And this is a very, very, very important thing. To set aside time every day to learn. Set aside time for every day to learn. No matter what happens, my learning happens. No matter what's going on, I learn. And that's one of the most important fundamental things in Yiddishkeit, to start and to do things gradually. You do things gradually. If a person is starting to learn halacha, so learn one halacha a day. If you're doing Shnayim Mikveh Echad Targum, you can't do the whole thing, so do what you can do. Start. In other words, always start, and the most important thing is to want to do more. That's the most important thing, to constantly want to do more. Our ratzon, our will, our desire to serve Hashem is so precious before HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because L'maisa, at the end of the day, what we're going to actually accomplish, or what we won't accomplish, that's dependent on what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants for us. But we have control of what we want. I want to learn better. I want to daven better. I want to experience Shabbos in a better way. I want to feel differently. This is such an important thing, to have that ratzon. And there's no way to describe how important the ratzon is. Ratzon is really the fuel for what's going to keep us, for what keeps us going in the Olam HaEmes. When we get to the next world, it's really how much desire you had for something. How much you will did you have did you have gaguim? Did you pine? Did you want? Did you want more? Did I want to learn more? I want to be better. This is such an important thing. But again, Eikev is keva, to set aside time for learning. Set aside time for learning. You take a fella that's let's do something physical first, okay? And take a guy that works out a lot, right? He works out a lot, right? And he's got the big muscles, right? Okay. Now, hey, wait a second. How did that happen? He decided one day he'll go to the gym, and he worked out for a few minutes. So it worked, and he worked a little more, and he worked a little more, and he worked a little more, right? And then he became very muscular, right? And he got used to it. But you don't do things, you don't do things so fast. You don't do things fast. Even HaKadosh Baruch Hu told us when we come to Eretz Yisroel, conquer the land slowly. Don't do things fast. If you conquer things and you take on things in a slow manner, you do things slowly, surely you'll certainly finish. In the Hakdama to Likutei Halachos, Reb Nosson says, there's something so beautiful. He says like this. He says, there are two people that may look at the same situation, but totally different ways. He says like this. You take one fella, then he walks up to the bookcase, and he sees the shas, right? He sees all the books, right? I got it behind me here, and the thing, and he looks at all of the books, and he says, wow, this is too daunting. There's no way I can learn all of these books. It's impossible. And he walks away. There's another fella that walks up to the bookcase, and he says, tell me, which is the first book? So they tell him here, brachas. And okay, and where's the first page? And they tell me about daf beis. Okay, Me'emes HaKoyrim and Shema. Here we go. Here it is. Here's the first page. Okay. And he says, you know what? Okay, I'm going to learn the first page. Learn one daf. So he learns the first side. He learns side A, and then he finishes side A. He goes to side B, and then when he finishes daf beis, he goes to daf gimel. And he keeps doing that. He's only paying attention to the page that he's on right now. He's only paying attention to that page. He will surely finish us. That man will surely finish us because he takes things on gradually. You see the difference? Right? If you want to take on everything at one time, it's never going to work. For example, you take a guy that didn't keep Shabbos, right? The guy that didn't keep Shabbos. So, so somebody will say to him, oh, you want to keep Shabbos? Okay, here you go. Here are all the laws of Shabbos. And we don't do that. Right? We tell the fellow, okay, listen, this is your first week. So let's say you were riding in the car. Maybe this week you won't ride in the car. You won't drive your car on Shabbos, right? Or this week you won't watch television on Shabbos. Or this week you won't smoke on Shabbos, or whatever. One thing, and then introduce another thing, and another thing. Slowly but surely, that person will become a Shomer Shabbos. That person will become a Shabbos. But if you come over to a guy, he's going to come over to the rabbi and says, you're not allowed to do borer on Shabbos, and you're not allowed to wash things on, and you're not allowed to do this, you're not allowed to do that. And I'll say, forget about it. This is way too complicated. He'll give up. That's why the rule, the way we do things, is we do that in a gradual way. And that's what the whole idea is. V'haya Eikev tishmu'un. V'haya Eikev tishmu'un, that the pasuk says so beautifully. V'haya Eikev tishmu'un, es ha-mishpatim ha'elu, shmartem v'asisem oisam. That even if the Eikev, you have such a simcha in you to do the mitzvah. You do have such a simcha in you to do the mitzvah that even your feet will be energized via the mitzvahs that you're doing. They asked the Holy Arizal, hey, Rabbi, how did you accomplish what you accomplished? I mean, he was a young man that was able to reveal the deepest secrets of the Zohar. And how did you do it? They asked him. He said, there was one secret I did. It was one secret, he said. Whenever I do a mitzvah, I do it with happiness. I do a mitzvah with joy, with simcha. Now let me tell you something. We can all do that. We can all do a mitzvah b'simcha, right? We can all do a mitzvah b'simcha. It's not hard to do that. To realize, wait a second, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave me this mitzvah to do, and when I do this mitzvah, I'm causing great joy to HaKadosh Baruch Hu in Shemayim. It's amazing. Why? How am I causing great joy to Hashem in Shemayim? It's very simple. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, before he created the world, he had a conversation with the Malachim, and he asked the Malachim, should I create man? And they said no. They said no. They told him, don't create man. Sheker, no, don't create man. Man's going to lie. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, I'm going to create man anyway. Right? I'm going to create man anyway. And he created man. He created Adam. And Adam made his mistake, of course, right? Adam made his mistake. But you realize every time any one of us does a mitzvah, we're giving HaKadosh Baruch Hu such nachas, because then he calls over the malachim and he says to them, hey guys, you said I shouldn't create Yankel. Look what Yankel's doing. Yankel is learning the Parsha. Yankel is wearing his tefillin. Yankel is saying Kriya Shema. Oh, look at that. You understand? We give HaKadosh Baruch Hu so much ammunition against the malachim that told him not to create the world. It's such a beautiful idea. And then when we do the mitzvah b'simcha, that even our feet will feel the joy of it, that's such an amazing thing. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us all the brachas, right? Hashem says, I'm going to fulfill all the treaties I made with Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. I'm going to fulfill everything. Just do the mitzvahs b'simcha. Do mitzvahs b'simcha. We could talk about this for and again recognize, wow, I'm putting on my tefillin now. Wow, look at this idea that HaKadosh Baruch Hu give me this idea of tefillin. Look at these, how beautiful these boxes are. Look how beautiful the parsha is that are inside them, and look how much goes into making the tefillin. Right? Did you know making the tefillin, when the Seif is making the tefillin, he has to make them in order. Did you know that? He can't write the parshas, he can't write one parsha and then another one, another. No, he has to write them consecutively. And if he makes a mistake in the middle, if he realizes he made a mistake, he has to put that parsha in Geniza. There's nothing you can do with it because it wasn't that parsha, and it's so beautiful to understand all the different intricacies of these mitzvahs that we have. Mitzvah of tzitzis, you're wearing a talus. It says, it's called mitzvahs Hashem. Look at this tzitzis, and you remember all the mitzvahs of Hashem. Rav Nosson says, how are you going to remember all the mitzvahs of Hashem? Very simple, he says. You have on the tzitzis, you gather up the four corners of the tzitzis, and you have a total of 32 strings, right? There are 8 on each corner, right? 8 times 4 is 32. 32 is the letter Lamed, the letter Beis. He says at the end of the Torah, the last word in the Torah is Le'enei Kol Yisroel. The last letter in the Torah is a Lamed. And what's the first letter in the Torah? Bereshis. Bara Elokim es hashamayim ve'asaretz. It's a Beis. So he says, now when you're holding your tzitzis, you have 32, Leiv. So you have the whole Le'enei Kol Yisroel and Bereshis Bara, which includes the entire Torah in the tzitzis. Unbelievable ideas that we have in our mitzvahs, and when you learn a little bit about them and you see how beautiful the mitzvahs are, it just motivates us to want to do the mitzvahs with great joy. And if we do that, HaKadosh Baruch Hu promises us such an amazing thing. Now, let's go on. Ma Hashem. Now in the parsha it says like this: Ma Hashem Elokecha shoyel mimcha. What does Hashem ask from us? Ki'im liyira. Right? We just said before, Rabbi Yehuda said, Hakol bidei shemayim chutz miyira shemayim. Hakol bidei shemayim chutz miyira shemayim. It's a very important thing. The Sfarim say that, what does it mean, Hakol bidei shemayim chutz miyira shemayim? Very simple. If a person wants something new, right? He wants a new car. He wants a new whatever. So in Shemayim, they deliberate. Okay, is this going to be ultimately good for this person? Is this going to be ultimately good for him? Oh, if it's going to ultimately be good for him, we'll give it to him. We'll give it to him. But chutz mi yira shemayim, not when it comes to yira shemayim. Why? Because if a person is asking HaKadosh Baruch Hu for yira shemayim, that's certainly good for any Jew. To fear God, Reishis Chachma Yiras Hashem. We must have fear for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The Shulchan Aruch begins, Shivisi Hashem L'negdi Summit. What does it mean, Shivisi Hashem L'negdi Summit? Realize wherever you go, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is with you. Meloi Chol Aretz Kevoda. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is everywhere in the world. You can't go anywhere without Hashem. Now people think that they can do a sin. Why? Because I'm by myself. I'm in my house, I'm in my basement, I'm in my car, I'm in my office by myself. The door's closed, there's no one there. Wait. Shivisi Hashem L'negdi Summit. If you remember that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is with you, a person wouldn't sin. Right? A person's not going to sin if he sees people around. But if he understands that, if we truly understand this concept of Ma Hashem Elokecha Shoymecha Ki'im Liyira, to fear Hashem. Because if we fear Hashem, ultimately everything will be good. And that's why you can ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu for many things. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu may say yes, he may say no. But when it comes to Yiras Hashem, try it. Ask Hashem, I want more Yiras Shemayim, and you'll see you'll certainly be granted the Yiras Shemayim, because it's the best thing for any Jew to increase the Yiras Shemayim. Does anyone have any questions on that? Does that make sense? Make you understand that concept? Yiras Hashem is the greatest thing, fearing the Rebbeinu Shalom. Okay, now we have in the parsha, it says v'achalta v'savata v'rachlas Hashem alekecha al haaretz ha'tayva shenasan lach. Right, we have to bench. We have benching in the parsha. Right, the birchas hamazon, and this is the only bracha that we have that's actually midiaraisa. Right, from the Torah. The Torah says that if you eat bread and you become satiated, so then you bless Hashem, and that's what the benching is. Now we know when it comes to brachas, all birchas nenin, right? All the brachas that we make when we eat anything, right? Before we eat anything, we make the bracha, right? Because that's how we get permission to have it. If we don't make the bracha, we're stealing from Hashem, right? We're stealing from the Rebbeinu Shalom if we don't make the bracha. The guy's going to he's going to say, I went to work and I did that, right? So the Torah says, maybe you're going to eat and then you're going to forget HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? You're going to forget Hashem. Why? Because if you overeat, then you're going to forget the Rebbeinu Shalom. But it's so important to bench and to realize there's a mitzvah every morning to eat pas shachris. Right? The mitzvah is to eat pas shachris, to eat bread in the morning. Right? It's so important. That's the most important meal. And if you notice, that's why there's such a yetzer hara not to eat breakfast. Right? People say, I have no time in the morning. I'll eat a big lunch. I eat my lunch. I'll eat my dinner. Oh, I like to eat a big dinner. I don't need a big breakfast or lunch. I have a big dinner. But hey, there's no mitzvah to eat a dinner. There's a mitzvah to eat pas shachris, to eat bread in the morning. That's a big mitzvah to eat pas shachris. And why? Because then you can bench and you can bless HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's such a beautiful idea. We're learning in the morning the halachas of hilchas netilas yadayim l'seuda, right? How if a person when a person finishes learning, he goes to daven. Right, and after davening, you have a seder and limud, and then you go home and you eat. So you wash your hands, and then you lift up your hands and you say Su Yadechem Kodesh Uvochu Es Hashem. Right, we lift up our hands. We say Su Yadechem Kodesh Uvochu Es Hashem. I lift up my hands over my mind to realize that it's not the koyach of oitzim yodi asali asachayil azeh, like it says in the parsha. It's not because I'm so wise and crafty do I get everything that I have. No, I realize that it's all coming from the Rebbeinu Shalom. And what do? I wash my hands. Because why do I need to wash my hands? I wash my hands because of this all sin, all kind of tumah remains on the hands. So when I wash my hands off from all of the sin, and then I can make the hamaitzi lechem in haaretz. Now, it says in Shulchan Aruch, you're supposed to make the betzia, the botzeya. You break the bread where? At the place that it was most well done. You find on the bread, the part where the bread is well done, right? And that's where you want to eat the bread at that point. Why is that? Because that brings on to a person Yiras Hashem. What? How is that going to bring on Yiras Hashem when I eat the crunchy part of the bread? Very simple. What made that part of the bread more well done? The fire, right? It was in the oven, and the fire grabbed that part of the bread, and that's what made it more well done than the other part, correct? Fire we have to be scared of, right? We're scared of fire. So it reminds us to be scared of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So now eating can actually bring us to Yiras Hashem. Now, when we eat, we always put salt. We have to have salt on the table. Why do we have to have salt on the table? Because the table is considered like the Mizbeach. The table is in lieu of the Mizbeach. Today we don't have the altar. But the table, as we eat at the table, we can come to the highest levels of Ratzon, the highest levels of desires to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu when we're eating. When we realize that the food that we got was granted to us by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So you're going to eat your sandwich, you're going to eat your breakfast, and you're going to have that piece of bread. Realize bread was given to you by Hashem. That bread was given to you by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He wants you to have that bread. Right? And when we do that, now, there's another thing we learned. There are 10 different mitzvahs that pertain to making bread. Did you know that? There are 10 different mitzvahs. What are they? Right? First of all, you have to what do you call it? Plow the field. You have to plant the field. Then you have to be kites. You have to do the ksir. You have to harvest the field. Right? When you do that, there are 3 other mitzvahs. There's shikha, leket, and peah. Right? We have the three mitzvahs. Like the one mitzvah is you leave the corner of your field for the poor people, right? And then you have leket when you're picking up the store. If you drop one, you leave it on the floor. That's leket. You leave it on the floor. Right? You leave it there. And then what shikha? If you left the bundle, right? You were bundling up your wheat, you're bundling it up, and you moved your wagon away, and you left one bundle there. That bundle you leave over there for the aniyim. Unbelievable. These are 3 other mitzvahs. Then you have truma and meiser, right? You have truma and meiser, and then you also have to make sure that you don't have kilayim, that you don't plant, you don't mix the plants. You don't. What do you call it? How do you do kilayim in English? Is you don't want to not graft. You don't want to cross them. Right? You don't want to cross the seeds. You don't want to plant 2 different plants together. That's kilayim. You're not allowed to, we don't do that. And then we bake the bread, and then it's such a beautiful thing. So the bread is such a beautiful, beautiful thing. And then in the parsha we have it, v'yachalta v'savata v'rachta es Hashem elekecha. Okay. And then again, that is the mitzvah d'oraisa min haTorah that we have to bench. And then it says a beautiful pasuk in the parsha, Tomid einei Hashem elekecha ba mereishis hashana ad achris shana. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu is paying good attention to Eretz Yisroel. HaKadosh Baruch Hu pays good attention to Eretz Yisroel. He pays attention to everything in the world. Of course, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is taking care of, like we said, Meloichal Aretz Kevoda. Of course, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is taking care of everything and every nuance of the world. But it says, Tamid Einei Hashem Elekecha Ba Mereishis Hashana Arach V'Shana. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives special attention to Eretz Yisroel. Special attention. And I have to tell you, the fact that I live in Eretz Yisroel, I don't take that for granted at all. And the beauty of Eretz Yisroel, and you see all the beautiful fruits and the bracha of Eretz Yisroel, it's like nothing else. It's like nothing else. We have in the parsha, we have the Zayin Minim, the Shivas Haminim, right? Eretz Chita, Sa'ira, Gefen, Te'ena, Rima, and Eretz Zei, Shemen, and Dvash. These are the Sheva Minim we have in the parsha. Unbelievable, all the different things that we have in our parsha. Okay, so these are the ideas. These are some of the ideas of the parsha. Now I'd like to turn to look at something inside. Okay, we're gonna focus on pasuk tes. We're gonna focus on Eretz Asher Loi B'Miskenus Toicha Bo Lechem. Right, it's a land. It's a land where you will eat bread without poverty. Leisechsar Kolbai. You won't be lacking anything. Look at that. You won't be lacking anything. Eretz Asher Avanea Barzel. It's a land. You won't be lacking anything. It's a land with stones or iron, from whose mountains you will mine copper. It's an unbelievable thing that we have, the different minerals that we have in the land. And again, you won't be lacking anything. Chevra, I want to tell you, I'm in Eretz Yisroel, and there's nothing you can't find over here. Nothing. It used to be that people said they can't go to Eretz Yisroel because they don't have this and that and the other thing. I'm going to tell you right here, we have just as much stuff as you have in America, and all you people listening to the shir from London, certainly we have more than there. All you people from South Africa, of course, we have definitely more than that. From everywhere, anywhere in the world, nobody can say anything. They all can come to Eretz Yisroel and enjoy the land. And it's unbelievable in Eretz Yisrael. It's just really, truly unbelievable. Now, here's a Torah from Reb Nosson on this. Well, there's a piece from the Likutei Moharan. First, I want to see this one. Eretz Asher Loi B'Miskenus Toichal Bo Lechem. This is a land that you'll have plenty to eat. Ki lefamim adam oichel lechem machmas onias. Some people eat bread because they don't have anything else. They'd rather eat a steak. They'd rather eat some other proteins, fish. They'd rather eat other things. But sometimes they don't have anything else, so they eat bread. Right? Sometimes they eat bread because of their poverty, and not because of their chesron taiva, that they have a lacking of their desires. But if they would have other things, so then perhaps they wouldn't just eat bread. This is the praise of Eretz Yisroel. We don't eat bread in Eretz Yisroel because of our poverty. But we're working on breaking our desire for eating, the lust for eating. Again, of course we have to eat. Everyone has to eat, and you have to eat in a way, but we eat in a way of kedusha. We don't eat in a way of taiva. We don't eat because, this looks so good, I'm going to eat it. We realize we're eating again to connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and when you eat, that's a beautiful time to have simcha while you're eating. You be b'simcha, to realize that Hashem gave me all this beautiful food. We learned also in Likutei Halachos the idea that when it comes to Pesach, right, and we're sitting at the Seder, so we have that little thing called karpas, right? We have the little thing called karpas, right? Some people either have a potato, some people have a radish, some people have a piece of celery, some people have parsley, whatever. Everyone has different minhagim what they are. But the common denominator is, it's a small vegetable. It doesn't cost much money, right? Whatever it is. Whether you're eating a piece of parsley, a piece of celery, a piece of potato, or you're eating a radish, it's not an expensive thing. Why? Why are we doing that? Because we're saying to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you see Hashem, you're the same Hashem that gave me this little vegetable. They gave me this little vegetable. You're the same Hashem that gave Mordechai. When it said Mordechai came out, the Levush Malchus, the Techeles Karpas, he came Argaman. He came out with the beautiful garments. It also says karpas. Oh, we call it karpas, but karpas is really fine garments also. The same Hashem that gives me my parnasa, to give me this little vegetable, can give me anything else that I need also. My dear Rebbe, Reb Chaim Kramer, Zal Zayin Gesund und Stark, he's sitting Shiva right now. He lost his brother, so we wish him, of course, the Tanchumim that he should have a nechama. He always says like this. He says people say they can't go to Eretz Yisroel because they won't make a parnasa. So he says to them like this, the same Hashem that gives you a parnasa wherever you live, He can give you the parnasa in Eretz Yisroel. He could. It's Hashem. It's the same Hashem. Hashem is what gives us our parnasa. It's not the koichu be'oitzim yadi osel yesachayil hazeh. Hashem, you're giving it to me. I know everything I had that you give me for my parnasa is coming from you, Hashem. So why would I not want to live in Eretz Yisroel, where I can have the place where I could breathe the avia of Eretz Yisroel, which is mechakim? It makes a person wise. Eretz Yisroel makes a person wise. The Gemara says that if you live in Eretz Yisroel, you have a God. The Gemara says if you don't live in Eretz Yisroel, you don't have a God. Could you believe that? But don't worry. If you live in a Jewish neighborhood, you have the Kedusha also of Eretz Yisroel in your Jewish neighborhood. In your shul, you have that also. And how do you know that for sure? When you daven in your shul, where are you davening towards? Yerushalayim. Towards the Harabayas. That's where we daven to, because that's the headquarters of all Kedusha, is in Eretz Yisroel. Eretz Yisroel is the Kedusha. And because we daven towards Eretz Yisroel, and wherever we are in the world, we're always thinking about Eretz Yisroel. When you bench, you're talking about Eretz Yisroel, right? When you bench, read the benching. Read the translation of the benching. You're talking all about Eretz Yisroel. Because all the bracha of the world comes from Eretz Yisroel. All the bracha of the world comes from Eretz Yisroel. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable to understand how beautiful Eretz Yisroel is. Okay, now, let's look at the next Torah here. Loisechsa kol bay. This is the one I wanted to really learn with you guys. Loisechsa kol bay. There's nothing lacking from Eretz Yisroel. Nothing's lacking here. Look what he says here. If a person can accept and he can benefit by the shefa, the bounty, the blessing of Eretz Yisroel. He's not lacking anything. He won't be lacking anything. Of course, if you have a Rebbe, you have a person, a tzaddik, that you're connected to, and you have the shefa of Eretz Yisroel, you're not lacking anything. Nothing is lacking from Eretz Yisroel. When you have the shefa coming from Eretz Yisroel, there's nothing lacking. Kisham tziva Hashem es habracha. This is the place where Hashem commands. Tziva Hashem es habracha. Bebechinas v'achikois yilachem bracha ad belidai. I'm going to give you blessing. I'm going to bestow on you blessing until with no limits. Belidai. Shezeh ha'hepech mebechinas ein adam meis chatzi taivasai biyadai. The Chazal tell us that a person won't die with half of his taivas. He won't die with half of his taivas. The guy who has taivas, he's going to have his taivas. He's not going to, if he's not working on it, it's not going to be any good. Dahainu. Because the guy's always lacking something. The guy is always lacking something. It says, right? Who is the wealthy person that's happy with what he has? But if the guy's never happy with what he has, no matter what he has, he's always lacking something. So he won't die with half of his taivas. He'll die with all of his taivas because he's always lacking something. When it comes to the beautiful blessing and the holiness of Eretz Yisrael, he bechina shefa kifula. Shefa is doubled. Kifula is doubled. She'ein by shum chesron. There's nothing lacking. Bechinas bracha ad belidai. She'yivnu sifaiseichem v'loy medai. Our mouth will be so filled with blessing. Will be loy medai. We'll say, okay, Hashem, it's enough. We have so much. It'll be so much as the Gemara in Shabbos Lamed Beis Amid Beis. The Gemara says that Yosem Mimasha Roitza. You'll have even more than you want. And I'm telling you, I live over here, and we go downstairs and we go to the supermarket, and our vegetables are so beautiful. I can't begin to tell you how beautiful the vegetables are here. We have a tomatoes, mamish a tomato. And you eat a cucumber, it mamish tastes like you taste the vegetable, the beauty. You could taste the kedusha in the fruit. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable, really. It's just something so special. Unless you experience it, you can't appreciate it. But I invite you all, come to Eretz Yisroel, and you can all appreciate it. I'm telling you, you see the bracha over here is wow. And it's all despite our government. I don't give any credit to the government at all. It's despite the government, because it's Tamin Hashem Eini Elokecha Ba Mereishis Hashana Anach B'Shana. That's why we have the bracha. If it was up to the government, we would have nothing. Especially, we're recording here, and I live in the Yishuv of Efrat. So, this is in the West Bank. I'm in the West Bank. They talk about the West Bank. I live in the West Bank. I live in the West Bank. Our government couldn't care less about the West Bank. They couldn't care less about it. Nothing. They couldn't care less. For them, Merkaz. They have Tel Aviv. They have Netanya, and they have Rishon LeZion. And they have Haifa. That's what they need. That's it. They don't, nothing else. Yerushalayim, a little bit. Doesn't mean anything to them. But this is so, we have such bracha Eretz Yisroel because of the Rabbeinu Shalom. Okay, look at this. Abel HaShefet Yusha Shalai Yisrael, he bechina shefet kifula she'ein b'ishum chesra and bechinas bracha b'li dai. Okay, sha'shefet kifula mechupelas yoysim imashe roitza. V'zeh bechinas ha'shefet shal Shabbos. This is the same shefa that we have when it comes to Shabbos. The same bracha and bounty that we have when it comes to Shabbos. The minay mizbarchin kol shita yom. Because the Zayah says that Shabbos gives blessing to all 6 days of the week. How do you like that? Shabbos. And we say that every day in the Yom, right? You say, Hayom Yom Rishon b'Shabbos, Hayom Yom Sheni b'Shabbos. We're always connecting the day to Shabbos because Shabbos is where the bracha brings the bracha to the week. We know that what do you call the Shabbos? Let's say when it comes to Sunday and Monday and Tuesday, we're drawing from the Shabbos before. For example, this week, when it came to Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, we were still drawing the bracha from the Shabbos of Eschana. Now, when it comes to Wednesday, we're already drawing from the bracha of Eikev, this week's parsha, right? So these 3 days, and then the 3 days next week will make that's the 6 days that we're talking about. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, those are the 6 days. That's the reason why, if a person forgot to make Havdalah, or they didn't, or whatever the case was, he couldn't make Havdalah for whatever reason, you can make Havdalah till Tuesday. Why? Because you're still connected to the Shabbos before, the Shabbos that was prior, and therefore you can still make the Havdalah, you can make that separation from the Shabbos to the weekday up until Tuesday evening. Because once it comes Tuesday evening, it's already Wednesday, it's already connected to the Shabbos again, and that's why you can't make Havdalah after Tuesday. Okay, so now we understand that also. Okay, that's why on Shabbos we don't take one bread, you take a double bread. It's kafel, it's double. Right, you take a double, right? We don't take one. We use a lechem mishnah. We have 2 breads on Shabbos. Lechem mishnah b'chinas shefa kfula ki Shabbos v'Eretz Yisroel hein b'chinas achas. Because Shabbos and Eretz Yisroel is one aspect. They're connected to one another. Shabbos and Eretz Yisroel. K'may shemesuda b'asheva havdolos shomer abayseinu zal b'Yerushalmi ben kedushas Eretz Yisroel l'chutz la'aretz. In the Gemara in Yishalmi is talking about the idea between the Kedusha of Eretz Yisroel and Chutz La'aretz. right? And then also the difference between Ben Yom HaShvi L'Sheshis Me'amasa, again, the difference of Shabbos when it comes in light to the rest of the week. Nimsa, Shehat Tzadik, Shemimenu Nimshach Kol Kedushas Eretz Yisroel. From the tzaddik comes out all the kedusha of Eretz Yisroel. We know in the Zayar Kadosh, Reb Shimon is called Shabbos. They call the tzaddik Shabbos. The tzaddik is known as Shabbos because again the bracha comes from the tzaddik. That's why Shabbos is the tzaddik is called Shabbos because the tzaddikim give us the bracha comes from the tefillah, from the avodah of that tzaddikim. They bring it to us. That's why they're called Shabbos. And again, all the bracha for the world comes from Eretz Yisroel. That's why Shabbos and Eretz Yisroel is connected. All right? Okay, Kodesh is also Zeh Zeichel Shefa Kefula B'Zeh Bechinas Macha Kosu B'Tzadikim L'Chein Ba'atzam Mishnah Yeroshu. Therefore, in the land they inherit a double plot. Mishnah Zeh Bechinas Shefa Kefula because it's double. Bechinas lechem mishnah the same way on Shabbos that you have the double bread. We always have a double bread when we make our suda for Shabbos. Bezel lechem ba'atzam mishnah ba'atzam daika ki ikka bechinas hashefa kivulu hu be'eretz Yisrael. This idea of the double shefa, the double bracha, is in Eretz Yisrael. Bezel shakotzer Rabbeinu zal ba'Torah tzivisi tzedek. And this is lesson 23 in Likutei Moharan. Sheikah shviras tavas moment hu ayidei atzadik mi shechoylek al atzadik hu neifel letayvas moment. If you connect to the teachings of tzaddikim, if you have a person who has a taiva for moment, he wants more money, desires more. He has a tremendous amount of money, but he always needs more. He needs more. Right? The Gemara says you have 100, you want 200. You have 200, you want 400. You have 400, you want 800. Right? Always the guy wants more. How do you get out of that? How do you get out of that? How do you get out of that problem? How do you get out of that problem? Very simple. You connect to the tzaddikim. Connect to the Torah, connect to the tzaddikim, and if we do that, then we can take ourselves away from the taiva of the moment, the desire of more money. But if someone is arguing on the tzaddik, or somebody is trying to find fault in the tzaddik, for that person that does that, and if that person that argues and it tries to disparage the tzaddik, chas v'sholom, that person will have the biggest taiva moment. V'yigoresh mipanecha oyev v'yoyim hashmeid kishemekusha la'atzadik hu mamshich mimenu b'china shefa k'vula. If you connect it to the tzaddik, so then of course you get the double bracha from the tzaddikim. The same way the tzaddik is connected to Shabbos, which is double, which is connected to Eretz Yisroel, which has the double bracha. So too, if we connect to the tzaddikim, we also have the blessing of the double. Okay? That's the opposite of the taiva moment. A person doesn't die with only half the taiva. Of course, he'll have all the taiva. If the person is a baal taiva, he's going to start with the taiva, he'll end with the taiva, because he never is going to fulfill the taiva. The more he has the taiva, the more he's going to want more. No matter what that taiva is, if he has food, he wants more food. He'll have more and more and more. Now, let's see the next lesson. Here's ve'achalta v'savalta v'rachtas Hashem elekecha al haaretz ha'tova asher nasan lach. That's the mitzvah of Birchas Hamazon. That's the mitzvah of Birchas Hamazon. Birchas Hamazon is learned in this parsha. Unbelievable. So look what he says here. V'adava temua l'chayra moed ma inyan Eretz Yisroel. Why do we have this idea of Eretz Yisroel? Why is Eretz Yisroel connected to the bracha of benching? Why is it Eretz Yisroel? If you think about it, right? Wherever you're eating, you may not be eating in Eretz Yisroel. So why is it connected to Eretz Yisroel? Lebirchas hamachal shachal ki lefi shahaseichel hapashet ikar bracha hu levarches Hashem al hamazon shenasan lanu. It's simple. It's simple to us to understand that we're going to bless Hakadosh Baruch Hu for anything that we eat. If we're going to eat food, we want to bless Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Why? Because we realize that everything that we have was given to us by Hashem Yisbarach. V'haya royu lichtoi v'achalta v'savata v'rachta ala machala amazon shenasan lach l'cha uma inyan beirachta es Hashem l'kecha ala aretz v'achalta v'savata. What is the idea that we made? Why is this connection? When it comes to the bless HaKadosh Baruch Hu ala aretz v'achalta v'savata ach be'emes ikra amazon v'machal nimshach rak me'eretz Yisroel. Really, all the blessing from all the world comes from Eretz Yisroel. The Zohar says that really the idea of the blessing is like this: that there's a cup and there's a plate. The cup is on the plate, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu overfills the cup, and it goes into the plate. The cup is Eretz Yisroel. The plate is the rest of the world. So whatever bracha is excess from Eretz Yisroel goes into the plate. Okay, that's what he means over here, that all the bracha comes from Eretz Yisroel. Ach be'emes ika amazon v'amachal nimshel rak me'eretz Yisroel shemisham ika kedushas achila. That's the main place of the kedusha of the achila is in Eretz Yisroel. Like we said, that's the place where we eat the bread not for taiva, but we eat the bread because we want to fulfill the mitzvah of benching. All the tzaddikim say, such a beautiful idea, whenever you bench and look into a bencher. Bench and look into the bencher. Even if you know it by heart. If you want to have bracha in your life, you want to have more parnasa in your life, all the tzaddikim, no one disagrees with this. Nobody disagrees with this. You could look at any tzaddik, you ask them, they'll always tell you that you bench from a bencher. Bench from a bencher. Right? And you see big tzaddikim benching from a bencher. Why? Because when you see the words, it's such a beautiful thing that you look at the beautiful words of the benching, you see them, it means so much more. And if you say the words, it's mam'ayra the kavana. Right? By saying the words out loud, saying the words, it awakens more kavana. What better thing can you do by having kavana while you're benching? Unreal, unbelievable. And therefore, when we're eating, we need to bless HaKadosh Baruch Hu to draw kedusha on the mazon. We want to make our food holy. How do you make your food holy? By blessing Hashem. You bless the food by blessing Hashem. Now you make the food holy. I want, when I eat, my food should be that I'm getting my food from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, from the side of holiness. I don't want to get my food from the side of impurity. I want to get my food from the side of holiness. So when I make a bracha, and I recognize that you are HaKadosh Baruch Hu, ha-maitzi lechem min ha'aretz. It was you, Hashem, that made this bread. It was you that gave it to me, Hashem. When I remember that it was Hashem, I'm connecting my food to the Kedusha. Shachal Gedesha Hachias Nimshach Al Yedei Amachol Yeh Nimshach Mesitra L'Kedusha V'Alkein Tzrichen Levarach Es Hashem Yisbarach Al Eretz Yisroel Daika Al Shenasan Lanu Eretz Chemda Rechayva. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us such a beautiful land that's so expansive, that's so beautiful. That's how you infuse holiness into the food that you're eating. Ki ikka kedusha nimshach misham, from the bracha. Oh wow! Ki ikka kedusha achila nimshach me'eretz Yisroel, because the main kedusha of the food comes from Eretz Yisroel. Shemisham ikka shefa shel hamazon. That's the main bounty and bracha from all mazon, all food. V'achila kayadua, as it's written in all the svarim. Shekol hapanasa v'chol hashashmois nimshach in rak me'eretz Yisroel. All the shefa. Everything that you have is all connected to Eretz Yisroel. Did you know that? Did you know that everything we do is always connecting back? Read the benching. You'll see it's all about Eretz Yisroel. It doesn't say anything about anything, any other land other than Eretz Yisroel. Because we're recognizing that all the bracha comes from Eretz Yisroel. That's why in the benching, it's only referring to Eretz Yisroel. Ki kol ha'atzois mitamtzis Eretz Yisroel. They come from the tamtzis of Eretz Yisroel. They come from the excess from Eretz Yisroel. Heim sheisin. They're drinking from Eretz Yisrael. Like I told you, the cup that HaKadosh Baruch Hu fills is the cup that it's filled with Eretz Yisrael. That's where all the bracha comes into the cup. Whatever goes over, that's the tamsis. It goes over. That's where the rest of the world gets their food from. If the world would only know that. If the world would only know that they can be more prosperous and they can have more parnasa, more everything. If they would respect Eretz Yisrael instead of disparaging Eretz Yisrael. The world needs to know this. The world needs to know that Eretz Yisrael is the headquarters of everything in the world. That's where the Even Shesiyah is, on Har HaBayis. That's where the Even Shesiyah is, the founding rock, that the whole world came from there. So it makes sense that Eretz Yisrael is the headquarters for all the Kedusha and all the bracha of the world. They drink from the bounty of Eretz Yisrael. That's where you get the holiness in the bread that you're eating. Like I said to you before, we went over the different mitzvahs of making bread in it by itself. Right, you have to give the truma and the meiser and the challah. There's a special mitzvah to give challah. He gave it to the kohen. Do you believe that? All the ladies would go prepare their bread, and everyone would take off the challah, and they would all find the kohen and give them their piece of dough. And then the kohen would take the piece from Mrs. Goldberg and from Mrs. Katz, and she would take it from this one, and he would mix it all together, and he would have a delicious bread. from the challah. Unbelievable. Kulam ein mitzvahs atluyas baretz. All of these mitzvahs are all dependent on the land. Why did Moshe Rabbeinu daven to come to Eretz Yisroel? Why did he want to come to Eretz Yisroel? He had a rotzen. He wanted to come into Eretz Yisroel. Why? To fulfill the mitzvahs that are totally ba'aretz. He couldn't do these mitzvahs, right? He couldn't do the mitzvahs that totally ba'aretz. They're dependent on being in Eretz Yisroel. The holiness of Eretz Yisroel, it's holy in every other place. The main thing is when it comes to eating with a level of holiness. Right? We have other mitzvahs, like all the other mitzvahs you do, right? You put on your talis and tefillin, and you do all the other mitzvahs. You keep your lulav in esrog, and you have your sukkah, everything and everyone. The only difference is in Eretz Yisroel is talking about the food. Rak me mitzvahs atluyas parts ein noyagim ela b'Eretz Yisroel. That's only in Eretz Yisroel. When mitzvahs atluyas parts ein kedushas achila connected or all connected to this idea of eating. The hainu trumas and maestris. Giving the truma, the tithes that we had to give on all of the produce and all of the everything that grows in the land. Therefore, on everything we eat, we make a bracha before. That's the birchas nenin. You make the bracha before, and then you make the bracha basayf. You're bringing holiness into the food. So therefore you should be satiated from the side of holiness. So that way you'll be drawn to want to be closer to Hashem. So that way you'll be drawn to do more mitzvahs. You'll be drawn to learn more Torah, more Tehillim, more Hisbodedus, more. You want to be more connected to the Rebbeinu Shalom because you're getting your food from the side of holiness. That's why when we make the bracha, it's so important to make the bracha with a proper kavanah. That's why it's so important when we bench, we say every word clearly. Say every word clearly. Besimcha. Bench besimcha that Hashem gave you what to eat. Bench besimcha, with joy, great joy. Ika brachas, okay, Magdishim esamachah shoichlin sheyu niza misitra kedusha ve'ika kedusha shedimsheches aideya bracha. The main kedusha comes from the bracha. He me'eretz Yisroel is from Eretz Yisroel. Shayadeya bracha niskadesh hama'achal. Through the bracha, you sanctify the food. Hamachal b'kedushas Eretz Yisroel. No matter where you are, when you make the bracha, and you understand that all the bracha is real, all of the food is only coming from the merit of Eretz Yisroel. You're connecting your food to the bracha of Eretz Yisroel, no matter where you are in the world. Because in Eretz Yisroel, that's the headquarters for all bracha, for all shefa. All bracha, all shefa comes from Eretz Yisroel. This is where the bracha is. Now it says the pasuk says like this. Lo yalallechem levada yichya. Vayancha vayarivecha va'achilcha esamon. Vayancha, Kodesh Baruch Hu, he pained us, he troubled us, and vayarivecha, he made us. We were hungry. Right, we went 3 days without any food, without any water. Right, we went. Okay, in order for you should know lemana diacha, to let you know, it's not on bread alone does man eat. Ki al kol moitza pi Hashem yichya adam. But rather, the body gets its satiation because of the bracha itself. So now, there's a beautiful teaching from the Baal Shem Tov, and we'll close with this idea. What does it mean? Ki lo yalallechem levada yichya adam. The Baal Shem Tov asks a wonderful question. He says like this: we know that the body doesn't benefit, what do you call it? The neshama doesn't benefit only from things of reach, only things of smelling, right? The neshama enjoys things that it can smell. Why is that? Because when it came to the Eitz Hadas Tov Ra with Adam and Chava, they used we have five senses. They used 4 of the 5 senses, but they didn't smell. It didn't say that they smelled whatever they ate. It didn't say they smelled it. So therefore, the scent is still pure. Now, and that's why after Shabbos we make the bracha of the besamim, because we're sending off the neshama yisera. We get the extra special part of our neshama comes on Shabbos. We send it off with the bracha because we smell the besamim. When we exhale, the neshama yisera leaves us in a pleasant way. That wasn't the case when it was the other week when it was Tisha B'Av. Matzah Shabbos, we weren't able to make the bracha b'samim, right? Because it had the enjoyment for the neshama. Okay, now, so the Baal Shem Tov asks, why is it if the neshama is what gives the person life, right? We get life, we have life because we have our neshama. So if the person he doesn't have food to eat, the person will starve and he'll die. But wait a second, if the neshama doesn't gain anything out of the food anyhow, only the neshama benefits by smell, so then why is the neshama going to leave the body if there's no food? Thus, why would the guy starve with no food and then his neshama will leave him? The Baal Shem Tov asked this question, a wonderful question. And he explains like this: whenever we make that bracha, whenever we make a bracha, guess what? The neshama is enjoying that. If you want to give your neshama enjoyment, make the bracha b'simcha. Make a bracha b'simcha. You're giving your neshama, your soul, that's going to be with you for eternity, right? The body we have, okay, we live whenever we live, and then the body goes back into the ground, right? But the neshama we have for eternity. The neshama lives with us. So don't you want to give your neshama some? You want to strengthen your neshama? If you're strengthening the neshama by making the bracha, So he says like this: if you're not eating, you're not making any brachas. If you're not making any brachas, so then the neshama says, "What do I need you for?" Right? The neshama wants the bracha, but you can't make brachas nenin unless you have the food to eat. If you have food to eat, then you can make the brachas nenin. Then the neshama enjoys it. And that's why then the Baal Shem Tov says, Ki lo yel alechem levada yichya adam, ki ha'motzeh pi Hashem yichya adam. Why? The same way, and we have to understand, the same way the pasuk is talking about man, to realize everything we eat is given to us, like by HaKadosh Baruch Hu, like the man was given to us. It's no different. Whenever you eat, you can understand you're eating man. Why? Because it was HaKadosh Baruch Hu that gave it to us. I want to wish everyone a wonderful Shabbos, and we should always feel the nechama. We should always feel that nechama, the consolation from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves us. And we learned so beautiful things of how important it is to make the bracha, and how it is to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'simcha. So I give everyone, we should all have a bracha, I bless everyone, that we should all have the bracha of simcha and yiras Hashem. If you have both Yiras Hashem and Simcha in your life, you have everything, and you're going to be totally successful, both in Ruchnias and in Gashmias. Everyone should have a wonderful Shabbos. Thank you for listening, Kol Tu.